Yemen has just struck back at an Israeli-linked ship in the Red Sea, a direct retaliation for Israel's recent airstrike on Yemen's capital, Sanaa, that killed Houthis Prime Minister Ahmed al-Rahawi and members of his cabinet. This wasn't a small strike. On August 30th, 2025, Israel deliberately targeted one of the highest political figures in Yemen's Houthis-led government. For Israel, the justification was clear. They accused al-Rahawi and his cabinet of coordinating attacks that threatened Israeli cities and shipping lanes. For the Houthis, it was a political assassination, proof that their war with Israel had reached a new level. But to really understand this moment, we need to go back. The Houthis are not a new name in Middle East conflicts. Emerging from northern Yemen, they rose to power during Yemen's long civil war, eventually seizing the capital Sanaa in 2014. Backed heavily by Iran with weapons, training, and political cover, they positioned themselves as part of the so-called Axis of Resistance, a network of groups opposed to Israel and the West. This same network stretches across the region: Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza, Shia militias in Iraq and Syria, and now the Houthis in Yemen. When the Gaza war erupted in October 2023, the Houthis quickly joined the fight, not on the ground in Gaza, but through long-range missiles and drones. They announced they would target Israel directly and anyone trading with it. This decision had ripple effects far beyond Gaza. The Red Sea, one of the world's busiest trade routes, became a battlefield. Ships were attacked, trade slowed down, and insurance prices skyrocketed. The United States and Britain launched their own airstrikes inside Yemen to protect global shipping. Egypt, deeply dependent on revenues from the Suez Canal, grew increasingly nervous as fewer ships were passing through. Through all of this, Iran's fingerprints were visible. The weapons technology, the political support, and the coordination tied Yemen's Houthis directly to Tehran's strategy of pressuring Israel on multiple fronts. For Israel, this was a red line. Dealing with Gaza was one thing, fighting Hezbollah on its northern border was another. But now missiles were flying from over 1,600 kilometers away out of Yemen. The leadership in Tel Aviv decided that the Houthis' role could no longer be ignored. That is why the strike on August 30th happened. By eliminating Prime Minister Ahmed al-Rahawi and his cabinet, Israel sent a message. Yemen's highest officials were now legitimate military targets. The response came swiftly. The Houthis fired missiles and drones, not only toward Israel but also at vessels linked to Israeli companies. While most of these attacks were intercepted or fell short, the symbolism was clear. Yemen would not remain silent. Their retaliation in the Red Sea is part of that cycle. Strike for strike, message for message. Now the region stands on edge. Israel's defense minister has warned of unleashing what he called biblical plagues if Houthi attacks continue. The Houthis, for their part, vow more revenge. And in the middle, millions of ordinary Yemenis continue to face famine, displacement, and poverty, while Israelis live under constant missile alerts, and Palestinians in Gaza endure war. So what does this moment teach us? It shows that wars in the Middle East are never isolated. Gaza's fire spreads to Lebanon, to Iraq, to Syria, and now to Yemen. Iran uses these links to stretch Israel thin. Israel responds with overwhelming force, targeting leaders far beyond its borders. The United States, Britain, and Egypt all get drawn in because global trade is at stake. But beyond the headlines and missiles, there's a deeper truth. Every new strike adds another layer of pain. Every retaliation pushes the hope of peace further away. The danger is that the region is sliding into a permanent state of endless retaliation, where no side ever truly wins, and only civilians pay the price. The lesson, perhaps, is this. Even as nations fight, there must come a point where leaders realize that missiles cannot bring security. Retaliation cannot replace dialogue. And in this storm, the world must not forget that the ultimate victory is not in who destroys more, but in who finds the courage to stop the fire.